Hello again, and welcome back to the third in our series on OEE. Today we're just going to look at the overall effectiveness week sheet that we work with. This is our standard worksheet that we work with each week to then roll up. So each person will have one of these to work with, and we'll have agreed the targets based on the Scrum process in our Agile workflow. So my name's Tristan Bailey, and this is what we do for the Holdingbay agency to try and work out our programs to be improved and try and keep in flow of sort of quality points being turned out. So what we've got is I've built this up and added in. I technically keep this on my bullet journal and just draw this out on paper each week. It keeps it nice and simple, keeps it nice and flat. I don't have to look for the computer, or I can fill it in over a coffee instead of having to be on the computer. But it is nice to be able to do the computer version too and fill them in as a record that can be kept and shared afterwards. So what we've got on here, just to review again for you, keep that recognition going in of what overall equipment effectiveness means. It is the things that we need to report on each day are the number of points we've worked on and the number of points we've reworked, and then any downtime. Those are basically the only things we're reporting on. So if you wanted to keep it really simple, you can do it while you're doing the work, or just review, for example, Git commits, delivery meetings, emails to clients. You can do these sort of things, review at the end of the day if you didn't track it each deliverable point, because those will also be records of this. It's just pulling that together and then giving it a value. The downtime are the only things that tends to be, it's hard to remember accurately what those were. I'll go, oh, I remember there was a delay in getting to a meeting, or oh, I remember a system went down, but you don't really remember how long for. So it is worth keeping track of these, and these also are good to be kept track of for risks and performance agreement logs. If you've got SLAs with other clients, and both for your performance of is a system working and being performant. So that's all we're recording each day. You can almost get away with just recording the points and even a single column of downtime. You don't need to break the downtime down, but what this is helpful for is looking for the root cause later, identifying the form of wastes that has been done. Where has that come from? Has that come from equipment? Has that come from personal changes or not understanding the work? Has it come from the briefing of the work? Or has it come from having to wait for review from someone else or a manager? Cool. So if we just go through and maybe fill in some sample days, and we can see what the chart does and then how it summarizes at the bottom. So if we did say we're working through the day and we've done 1 point of work, what happens is it starts filling in the data. So we get one green square in our safety signal, because that will change color if we did a point of rework. So we still did a point of work, but it was only worth half as much. It has a flag on it for the quality. And then for our targets for the day, we've moved up from missing 3 points to achieving missing 4 points to achieving 3, and getting not achieving 3 and getting 1. Let's get the words right. If we move that all the way up to our target for the day, now because our OEE has reached over 40%, it starts showing up as our chart for the day. We've filled in all our green squares for the day, and it's possible to obviously overwork, but that's not going to count against the other pieces. It's just going to affect the OEE and the points achieved. What we then the only bit that you need to decide on for your own practices is whether you want to follow the traditional model and only record issues or observations in this text box for notes, because maybe you want to go, okay, there was a 50-minute downtime for waiting, because this was waiting for client review. So there may be a piece where you were waiting on the phone, someone didn't call you back, you were waiting for a meeting that got delayed, and you couldn't go back and do something else, or just clearance to go live, and you can record those in here as to what those reasons were. Or the other way of doing it is recording just general notes, sort of positive and negative, and that tends to be the way we go forward on it. We don't track as specifically because we have other ways of tracking that, the reasons for the downtime, unless they were very significant or new. So what we tend to be doing is recording the points and using this as a sort of a quality and check document as to, well, what things were we working on. That's fine. That's what we find as interesting, to see where that balance is, rather than the details of the downtime. That's a personal choice, or a company choice as to which direction you want to log that in. Cool. So if we keep going, and we filled in a few more of these. So that day we didn't do so many, and then this day we did a lot of errors fixing, and then the last day was better again. So this is what we've got, and this may end up being more of an average week if we then fill in the times. What we mainly have is changeover time, so this is changeover between projects. So we might get stuff where you needed rebriefing, and then maybe Friday we've got like maybe there was Friday drinks or a review party, so that was more internal things. So these can be delays that are more away from the work rather than negative, in the sense of why was there a waste, you were not working. These often are just things that have to happen in business, but they're not delivering value to the client, and therefore sort of sales value. So that's what we've ended up with at the end of the week. So we've got a total of 20 points worked from our 20 points of target, but 6 of those were rework points. So it's not quite as clean a target as we would like. There were 130 minutes of unplanned downtime, and then also 50 minutes of waiting time, and the normal breaks time was observed all week, so 300 minutes there. Those get then summarized in our A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, O, E summary. This helps us. There's a readout from the planning phase as to the letters used for the calculation, just to make that easier to understand, and then gives the summary. You can also fill in some notes. Sometimes we've got notes as to the reasons of these. These totals are obviously added up across the rows too. So what we've got is availability is all the downtime taken away from the available time for that day, divided by the planned time off, taken away from the shift time. So what time was available is divided from what was actually happened for that day. Efficiency is the tasks produced times the time, divided by all the time that was actually available in the day that was used up and not taken away at breaks. And quality again is the points, and taken away half the value of the rework points, and divided by the total points. So what was the quality of those, and then availability times efficiency times quality is your OEE. So here are our targets again across the top, and then whether we were meeting those or not. So 3 of those days we met our OEE target, but there's a couple that could have done with a bit more work, and we may want to look into that, or we may just say, well, the overall for the week was 70, and we're happy when we're over 70 for the week, but we need to work a little bit harder to push it over 72 for the week. We've got some little visual versions of that across the top of the page. We've got a little graph relative to our performance target, how we were doing. The safety symbol, seeing how green we made the week. And then the points achieved, just seeing that balance of where there were ups and downs of the week. So that's quite simple. Realistically, all you're filling in is that points and rework column, and then where needed, the other one. So it's a really low touch. This is what we liked about it. It's a really low touch, low effort system. There's not much to keep track of. You're not tracking every minute of the day. You're just subtracting the issues, and they're usually the time when you can note that down. Oh, there was a break. Oh, there was something happened. I'll just note those times down. Is easier to note down than every task delivered, what the timings were on it. And it gives those numbers that are quite easy then for us to work with afterwards, because if we can work out that availability is shifting and it's trending up or down, we'll know, should we be working harder on this? Do we need to do, what sort of programs can help improve the availability? So is it stuff that helps people know what the tasks are, not switch tasks too often, maybe break the tasks down? That was an effective one we found, was to make sure the next column, the efficiency was better, was that if people are not switching tasks so often, the availability is going to be better because they're not going to need to change around. But if the tasks are smaller within that, so even if the end goal was the same thing, if there can be lots of broken down into smaller manageable pieces that are going to fit in that 100 minutes, the efficiency can be better because it's easier to keep chaining those on one after the other. If those are better briefed and better understood, and then they're a smaller, more manageable task, which generally aligns well with our agile principles anyway. But it gives us that extra factor to remind us and loop back in. This is why we want to make them smaller, manageable, because then it affects the efficiency. If people are chopping and changing and not getting the number of tasks done in the day because they're having to get things re-specified or rebriefed or re-understand them, they're not going to get the consistency of flow. Efficiency is going to go down. And if efficiency's gone down, or they're trying to push their efficiency up and not really understanding what it is, the quality is going to go down. Because they're going to have to rework more of those pieces. So what we want to look at on here is where are we going, and we tend to look at that over the weeks and over the trends. It tends to look easier to see when you look at it a bit over time, and then balance that with a program to improve it. So thank you for joining us again today, and feel free to reach out or check back on Holdingbay to ask us some more details. Thank you.